Today's interview is with Lian Dolan. She's like Liam, but no, it's Lian. It's like the female version. I really got to know Lian like she was one of those girls I grew up with in South Boston, except, yeah, she's Irish. She has a big family, but she happens to be a New York Yankees fan. But besides that, she's awesome. She's a writer. She's a producer of the Satellite Sisters podcast, which was a nationally syndicated radio show. She has personality for days, and I think you'll enjoy this interview.
Welcome to the Purpose Rockstar Podcast, inspiring stories of people who found purpose in their careers 5 days a week. Unleash your inner rock star and tap into your highest purpose with your host, Derek Duplessis.
Welcome to the Purpose Rockstar Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Duplessis, Executive Director of the Duplessis Foundation. We're helping inner city entrepreneurs to pursue their purpose by training them to run a successful business. This show is an extension of our mission to help you and people all over the world find purpose in their work. Let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. Lian Dolan does it all. She produces the weekly podcast, The Chaos Chronicles, a fun look at modern motherhood. She writes for Oprah.com as a parenting expert. And a decade ago, Lian created Satellite Sisters, an award-winning talk show with her 4 real sisters. Her books include Helena Pasadena and Satellite Sisters Uncommon Senses. We talk about her charmed life as a professional storyteller. Should be a lot of fun. Enjoy.
Purpose Rockstars, let's do this.
So it's hard for me to touch everything that you do between the Satellite Sisters and the Chaos Chronicles and stuff you're doing for Oprah's magazine and all that good stuff. So if you could tell us, because I'm really interested in the concept of the Satellite Sisters, if you could tell us, sort of a signature story that you guys all took part in, or segment that really just crystallizes what it's like to be on a show with 4 of your other sisters.
Okay. There's so many over the years because we have a really broad range with Satellite Sisters, which is always what's been my favorite part of the show. Like, there are shows that are just flat out funny. Someone has a horrible experience at the DMV or at the bank or at the yogurt shop, or, there are really serious news stories that we've had to tackle. We were on the air live, during the Virginia Tech shooting. And so things like that have happened to us. One of my sisters lived abroad for many years during the show, so she brought a very unusual, international perspective to the show. So a lot of material that we covered, a lot of other shows weren't covering. But, okay, I think the story that kind of crystallized it, a recent story, was my sister Julie, the oldest sister. She does a lot of adventure travel, and a couple of years ago, she went to North Korea as a tourist. And what made it kind of a funny family story was that she told us, do not tell Mom and Dad. You cannot tell them I'm going to North Korea. And she's a grown woman. She's like, I don't want them to worry. In fact, I don't want them ever to know that I'm going to North Korea. So Julie went to North Korea on this junket. She said it was the 5 most terrifying days of her life. And she came back and talked about it on the podcast, the Satellite Sisters podcast. Derek, she did 50 minutes on what it was like in North Korea that I think is the best stuff ever written about North Korea. I mean, it was riveting.
Wow.
And it's one of our most downloaded shows ever. It's one of our most and this is not the kind of thing you think, oh, what if 5 sisters get together and talk about? But that, oh, Julie's trip to North Korea. But the fact that she made us promise not to tell her mom and dad, but she went on the air to talk about it. And then the whole time we're interviewing her, I was like, why did you go to North Korea again? Like, we were asking her questions only sisters could ask, but she was giving great responses. And then in the 2 years since then, it seems like North Korea has been in the news every week, right?
Sure.
Something bizarre happening, something awful. And it's something that had completely drew our listeners in. Like, this is not something you're going to get on another show. One woman's, 5 days in North Korea. And every single week on our Facebook page or in our email box, there's a letter from a listener. I saw this. I'd like to get Julie's point of view. What do you guys think about that? And that to me is sort of the miraculous world of kind of podcasting and creating your own show. Like, if we were on a big network, my sister would not have been allowed to talk about North Korea for 50 minutes. But it was an unbelievably great show. And as these news stories come out, our listeners feel more informed than the average American because they heard my sister Julie's firsthand, description of her trip. So that's an unusual thing, but that's kind of the specialness that Satellite Sisters has brought to my life. Like, you just never know what is going to make a great topic on the air.
There's more to that interview. Yeah, more. And you can find all of it at purposerockstar.com. Link is right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there. So it's really, really awesome that you can go to purposerockstar.com. If you're one of those on-the-go Apple people, you can check it out on iTunes. There's the link. And for my non-Apple people, I'm going to make sure there's a link on Stitcher somewhere next to me. So you got iTunes, Stitcher, and purposerockstar.com. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're on Twitter and Facebook, and somehow we'll be on LinkedIn. I don't know. But at least we'll be on Twitter and Facebook. And one final favor. Pursue your purpose. It needs you.